Hello data lovers, so welcome back to the third video of SQL Interview Pro series, and today also I am going to solve 4 SQL interview questions, and all 4 questions will be from the medium category. And for last 2 videos I'm pretty sure you guys have watched it and solved all those questions. If not, then check it right now and solve those questions immediately. And the questions which I will be solving today, you can find it on Code Studio platform by Coding Ninja, and these questions are free to access, so completely free for you to practice SQL question. I have provided the link in the video description. Like this video for the better reach, because I will be covering some amazing topics of SQL today. First, try to attempt these questions by your own. Put your solution in the comment section and then watch my solution. So let's start now and solve today's SQL questions. Alright, so this is our first question. Consecutive available seats. The problem statement is several friends at a cinema ticket office would like to reserve consecutive available seats. Can you help to query all the consecutive available seats order by the seat ID, means order by in the seat number, using the following cinema table. So this is how the table looks like. Seat ID means the seat number, and second column free, basically it gives the representation seat is free or occupied. So the value 1 means seat is free, value 0 that means seat is occupied, which we can see here as well. And these are the seat numbers. So here we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously these are consecutive seat ID numbers, but here what we can say, these 2 consecutive seats are not available. But here these 2 consecutive seats are definitely available, because both are consecutive first of all, and the availability status of both of the seats are free. This one, the seat ID is 6, but it is not consecutive. Here after 4 we can directly see seat number 6, that means 5 is missing. So this one will not be included in the consecutive numbers at all. So here if we look at the output which we are getting, your query should return the following result from this sample data we have. So seat ID 3 and 4, and that's what they are asking in the query. And to solve this use case, we will be using the fundamental of self-joining. And why this self-joining part? Because here what we need to do, we need to identify whether 2 seats are consecutive or not. So I'm not going to talk about the window functions related things. One of that approach can also be used here, but I'm going to talk about the simplistic logic, which will definitely come into the picture whenever you will have these kind of problem statements where you need to compare one row with some other row in the same table. So here we will be using the concept of self join, and what will be the condition of our self join, that will matter a lot. So the condition of our self join, sort of the cross join, so the condition will be if this same table is getting joined with the same reference of this table. So if let's say this seat ID 3 is going to be joined with this seat ID 4, so in the join condition I'm not going to put the equality condition. In the join condition I will be putting if the absolute difference of seat from the left table and the right hand table is 1 or not. And in the AND part I will be checking if both of those seats for which this absolute difference condition is equivalent to 1, both of them are free or not. If yes, that means yes, these are the seats which we can consider for the consecutive available seats. So that would be our logic. So let's try to implement that one. So first I will just keep this part empty, which is in the select. We will decide what we need to select at the end. But here first what we need to do, we need to use this table which is named as the cinema. Okay, and since we need to use the 2 identical copy of the same table, we will give a different alias name to the same table. So here we can name it like A, and after that I am going to write this join keyword. So it will be a sort of cross join, right? Not inner or the left or right, it will be a cross join. So this is the join part and cinema B. And here, as I talked about the condition which I am going to check here, absolute difference means ABS. Okay, so absolute difference and A dot seat ID minus b dot seat id, this should be equals to the 1, because consecutive difference 3 4, only the positive difference could be 1 here. And in the second part we need to check whether these two consecutive seats are free. So for that one we will refer this column which is named as free. So a dot free should be 1, means the boolean 1 sort of thing, means this is the seat which is available to be occupied. And b dot free, let me put it this way, this should also be 1 as per our condition. And after that, what we need to do in our final result, we need to print this output in the ascending order of the seats, right? So that is why we will also apply this order by this a seat id. Now if we focus on this part here, this is the cross join, right? This is the cross join we have applied. So for an example, if this is the table which is on the left hand side and the same table will be on the right hand side, okay? So this seat id 3, once it will get joined with seat id 4, obviously this whole condition will get satisfied. Same thing will happen for the seat 4. So seat 4 will also get joined with the seat id 3 in the right hand side, if the 3 will be present on the right hand side table. Alright. So if that case happens, obviously we will have the duplicated entries in our output. So here what we will do, we will put this distinct keyword. So distinct a dot seat id, and now if we try to execute it, and we will verify what we get here. Okay, so looks like some error here, and the error says operator does not exist, means boolean equivalent to integer. This a dot free is boolean, but here we are trying to compare it with some integer sort of thing. Let me verify the data. This is weird. Star from 𝗏cie𝗰𝗶. This could be a data issue as well, maybe typo here. Yeah, alright, we can see, right? So this one, the free column looks like in the backend database it is boolean sort of thing, true and false, but here as we can see it is mentioned at some integer value, which could be a wrong problem statement here, but no problem, we will replace it with the boolean true false kind of thing. So we'll keep it true, and now let's execute it. Alright, cool. So that's what we are getting here. As you can see, seat id 3 and 4, this is what we were also expecting. And now let's move on to our next question. So here we can see this is the next question. So let's read the problem statement. Table cinema, this is the column names, id, movie, description, rating. Each row contains information about the name of a movie, its genre and its rating. And rating can be a 2 decimal places float in this range. Alright, write an SQL query to report the movies with an odd numbered IDs, means odd numbered movie IDs, and description that is not boring. Return the result table in descending order by rating. Okay, so this is our input data, and if we want to verify as per the problem statement, we only need to print the odd numbered movie IDs. Alright, this is fine. Also, if the movie ID is odd, then the description should not be boring, means it could be interesting or fiction, that kind of movie, but it shouldn't be boring. Alright, so this seems easy. I think it's a pure filtration based logic. We need to just filter out. So let's apply it. So in the output we need all the columns, so select star. From here what we need to do, the table is cinema, where in the where clause, first what we need to do, we need to check the ID column. The movie ID should be an odd number, means if we take the modulo of ID column by 2, then it shouldn't be equals to 0, right? That means it is something odd number. So this is first condition, and second condition is description, right? Description also should not be equals to boring. So these two conditions we applied, and also we need to print our output in the descending order of the ratings. So we will apply order by rating and we will put it DESC. Now let's execute it. Alright, what we are missing, description not equals to boring, where, oh my bad, so I missed this condition which should be equivalent to 0. Let me re-execute it. Alright, so this is what we can see here. Okay, so this one looked simple question. So now let's move on to the next one. So this is our next question, and what does it says? Number of comments per post. Okay, so let's read the entire problem statement. Looks very lengthy. So this is the table name named as the submissions, and here we can see this is the column sub ID, parent ID. There is no primary key for this table. Each row can be a post or a comment on the post. Alright, so if this is a row, so either like it could be a post or it could be a comment or combination for the both of the things. Here parent ID is null for the post. So if you know about these social medias as well, so here what we do, we create a post, and inside a post, right, random comments will be made. And even on the social media platforms, its backend database will actually store a post with unique IDs, right, so that it can be referred at the later point of time. So I guess same kind of hierarchical relationship has been given here. So if any submission ID whose parent ID is null, that means this ID is actually for the post. This one is not for the comment, but this is for the post. So that's clear. Now what we need to do, write a SQL query to find number of comments per each post. Cool. Result table should contain post ID, means this will be the output table, post ID, number of comments, and must be sorted by the post ID in the ascending order. Cool, that is also clear. Submission may contain duplicate comments. You should count the number of unique comments per post. Means if we even look at this table, I can see this row is even duplicated here. Also this row 3,1 is duplicated. So I guess intentionally this duplicated data was given, because in the problem statement it's clearly mentioned that you should count the number of unique comments per post. So we need to count it only once. Submission may contain duplicate post as well. You should treat them as one post. I think for comment and post, same thing applies. The query result format is in the following example. Okay, so if you try to verify this output, right, so here this one, this ID is actually ID for the post because its parent ID is null. And here we can see if this one, right, the ID here something, and this one is also not null. So what it says that this submission ID is actually a comment on this post. So similarly for this parent or the post one, how many comments, distinct or unique comments? This one, and this one. So this is 3. For post 2, this one is unique and this one is unique, that is why it is 2 here. For 12, obviously there is no comment as of now, so it is 0. To solve this problem statement, I will actually slice it into 2 portions. So obviously some kind of join will be needed here. Why join part is needed? Because we need to count the number of comments on a post. Alright. So in order to do that, obviously we need to perform some kind of grouping here, and that grouping will be applied for this thing, right, the parent ID part. And here after doing this grouping, right, what we need to do, we also need to take the count, right. We will create a group for each parent ID and we will actually take the count of the submission IDs, and this intermediate result will be prepared. And also from this portion, means in one of the our sub queries, we will apply this part, the distinct count of the submission IDs where parent IDs are null. So those will be eventually treated as the actual posts. Okay, so first let me try to do this thing where I am already preparing this set. So with the post IDs, right, with post IDs as I will make it like select distinct sub ID from submissions table, submissions. All right, so this is the first part we have written here. We are just keeping, or we are trying to keep this data as a temporary table so that can be used moving further. And here I will also make it is null, right, because that is how we will be able to get it. Now after doing this thing, right, what we need to do here, we created this subset part, and here eventually we will perform the join operation. So I will keep it blank for the time being, and in the left hand side, right, I need to keep this table, right, this temporary table post under IDs. I will be keeping it on the left hand side, and I will perform the left side join as well, because if you focus here, right, if I do the grouping here only to count the number of unique comments on the posts, right, which are mentioned here, so 7 is something, right, which is coming out of the blue, and there is no entry for this one as a post here, right. So obviously I should keep, because in my final result I am only concerned about these post IDs, right, nothing else. So I will keep it on the left hand side. So from post IDs left join, and this left join we will actually do on this sub query. So this sub query will actually hold this kind of thing, the sub ID, right, sub ID comma count distinct, right. Here we need to do it on the parent ID. All right, parent ID and distinct sub ID. Okay, then we need to put it like from parent ID comma this from submissions table, and we will do the group by on parent ID, and even before that we will simply discard those parent ID records which are null, right, and I need to make it not null, right, because when I will apply this filter logic, that means we will be only getting this subset, right, starting from this row till this row. So that's what I am doing here, left join. Okay, and let me indent it properly. So this is the thing here, and now if I keep it like this, so select parent ID comma count distinct IDs, and we'll name it like number of comments, right, number of comments from submissions where parent ID is not null, group by parent ID, and we are taking a count of distinct comments here, or the unique comments. So this part is also done, and we will name it like with the post comments. Okay, and the condition, the join condition will be here we can even mention this thing, on post IDs dot this thing, post IDs dot sub ID, or for this thing I will make it more realistic. So this is the post ID, also I will name it like as post ID, so that it makes more sense while joining it. Post ID equals to this thing, and this is our table name, this dot post ID. So once this part is done, the condition we have applied, and after applying the condition, in the end we need our output in the ascending order of the post IDs. So order by post IDs dot post ID in the ascending order we want, but this is the part we haven't populated yet. So how this one will get populated, this 0 part, right? So for this one we will be using the 𝗏𝗃 function. So how 𝗏𝗃s work in the SQL? So if you are putting, let's say, n number of column values, so how 𝗏𝗃s works, it will start scanning it from the left hand side, and as soon as it find the first not null value, that will be populated, or that will be treated as a derived value. Okay, that is the whole purpose of using the 𝗏𝗃s one. So we will use the same, and here I can keep this thing, and after doing this part, second thing we need to mention this thing, number of comments. So post comments dot number of comments, this is also done. And for this one to get populated as a 0 as well, we need to 𝗏𝗃s function. Okay, and here what we are providing here, this thing. So if you look at this part, so for this post ID 12, obviously this data, intermediate data which we are preparing, there will be no value for the post ID 12. Okay, so what will happen when this left join will be happening, right? So for post ID 12, there will be no match on the right hand side. So the right hand side data which is coming in, that will be populated as a null, right? So while populating this thing, when cursor will reach to that particular row where this thing would have happened, like 12 comma null, and right, something, all these values will also be null, let's say number of post. So in that case, what will happen, since this part is null, so 𝗏𝗃s function will pick 0 here. So you can even read more about the 𝗏𝗃s function, how it works, because it's very handy when it comes to deriving the values based on some kind of null conditions. So let's execute it. And here, that's what we can see, the output which we wanted for post ID 1. We have 3 for post ID 2. We have 2 for post ID 12. We have 0. So I think that's the idea. You have got how to do this thing. It's a simple joining based thing, nothing complicated, very simplistic thing. We segregated the data, just counted the things and just joined it together to get our final resultant. If you have a different approach, because as of now we solved 3 questions, but this one is something which I like the most as of now, and I would be really happy to see your solution. So before actually looking at my solution, try to put your solution in the comment section and see how far you can go with this one. So let's move on to the next question, and if we go to the next one, let's try to see what we have. So we have a customer table where we have a customer ID, customer name, we have a orders table, we have order ID, sales date, order cost, customer ID, seller ID. Okay, these are the primary keys. And we have a seller table which has the seller ID as a primary key, seller name. Okay, now what we need to do, we need to write a SQL query to report the name of all sellers who did not make any sale in 2020. All right, return the result table order by seller name in the ascending order. That is also fine. So we have this table, customer table. We can see customer will be placing the orders from different sellers. Okay, so this is the table. We can see this order ID 1 for customer, let's say 101, it was placed from seller ID 1. And after some day, this you can say customer 101 placed the order from this seller 2, right? And that is how it is. And this is the unique order IDs. We can see seller table, it has the seller ID 1 2 3, and these are the seller names. So as per the problem statement, we need to print the name of the sellers who did not make any sale, who did not even make any one single sale in the year of 2020. So let's focus how many records we have first of all in the order table with respect to the year 2020. So that should be our first idea whenever we look at the data. like if we can minimize the data, that will even improve our query execution time. So definitely whatever operation further we will apply, we will try to apply on the filter data, and that filter will be applied on this year part, which is 2022, which is actually 2020. So here, let's say we have only 3 records, this 20 for order ID 1, 2 and 4. Only these 3 orders were placed in the 2020. And who were the sellers for it? Seller 2 was again for 2020. So here for the order 4, seller was 2 and that order was placed in 2020. Again for this one, it belongs to 2020 and this was also for seller ID 2. And for this one, this was actually for seller ID 1. So at least for this filter data set, it's clear that for seller ID 3, we cannot see any record which belongs to sale date 2020. So that is why this is coming in the output. So very simple, what we need to do, we need to do the join operation here, because at the end we need to get this seller name. And how we will be getting it, we will be filtering out this data, and after that we will do the left join from this table to this table. We will do the left join, and after doing the left join, whatever seller IDs which are not able to join with the right hand side table, that means those were the sellers who didn't even get any order in year 2020. So let's try to do that. First I will write select, I will keep other things blank, and in the left hand side I want to keep my seller table. So seller, and after that we want to do the left join operation. Left join on this sub query, because in this sub query uniquely I just want to get the seller IDs so that I can do the effective join. Because if I apply the plain filter condition on the sale year, right, we will be getting duplicated entries for the seller ID, because right, seller could have got multiple orders in the same year, so multiple times join will happen, and that's what we don't want to do. Okay, so here what we will be doing, select distinct, right, select distinct seller ID from which table? This orders table, right, orders table. And what we want to do, where this year part we want to check whether it is 2020. So for this one we will use extract method, and here what we want to extract, year from this one, sale date column, right. So this is what we did here, and after doing this part, right, we also need to compare it whether it was 2020, because we want to filter out all those records which were placed in 2020. Okay, and we will name it like this thing, order 2020. Okay, and here in the on condition what we are going to use, seller dot seller ID equivalent to seller ID from this temporary subquery data we will be getting, and at the end we need to print our output in the ascending order of this seller name. So seller dot seller name, right, by default it will be in the ascending, and here what we want, this thing, seller dot seller name. So let's try to execute it. Alright, so here we are getting all this data because we didn't filter out, right, we just completely joined it, and we need to apply the filter condition after the joining part. Means we are only concerned about those sellers which didn't get any kind of order. So how we will be doing it, we will simply do the where part here, and it will be like order 2020 dot seller ID is null, right, because when this left join will happen, so if you look at this left hand side table, right, it has, or it will eventually have IDs for all the seller 1, 2, 3, but when we execute our sub query, this part, right, it will only generate these two IDs as a distinct seller ID 1 and 2, not 3. So when the left join will happen, obviously the value for this seller ID on the right hand side table will be null, and that is why we have applied this condition. Now if we execute it, then we will get this data which we wanted in our final resultant. So that is how this was applied. So now you also need to solve all these 4 questions. That's what I had for you guys in this video. I'm pretty sure you would have enjoyed all these 4 questions, and you will try to attempt it by your own and put your solution in the comment section. And after that, try to look at my solution and my approach. And if you have anything extra you want me to cover in upcoming video of this SQL interview question series, put it in the comment section. Like this video in the big numbers so that these kind of amazing question can reach to maximum number of data professionals and they can also prepare themselves. And I will see you guys really soon with the part 4 of this series. So stay tuned, and till then keep exploring data.